Welcome to Magic Bricks Now, India's first property channel. I'm Faye D'Souza. You're watching the Urban Debate. Let's take a look first at the top headlines at this hour. Big deals are brewing. Land in the Thane Belapur is on the block. It might fetch 220 crore rupees. The land will be used to build an IT park, which means more job creation in Thane. That's a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Delhi government gears up to implement the odd and even plan on the 1st of January. Nearly 3,000 buses will be added to the roads to improve connectivity. There'll also be an app called Pucho, launched to get citizen queries and feedback. Well, it seems like Mumbai will soon get another IT hub. The Thane Belapur location is transforming when the defunct industrial units are being snapped up by IT companies. Sources tell us the 30-acre land parcel is up for sale by Cabot India. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal is standing by with those details. Aishwarya, it looks like one more mega deal brewing in that area. Tell us who's bidding for the land parcel and how big is this deal expected to be?
You may not be able to imagine it today, but actually Thane Belapur Road was a very busy industrial corridor till the 1990s. Since then, over 3,000 industries have become defunct. But it looks like this stretch is well on its way to become Mumbai's next IT hub. Players like Mindspace and Gigaplex are already up and running in this stretch, and big players like Reliance Communications and Reliance Industries have already opened their back offices here. Now, sources tell us that a huge chunk, close to 30 acres of land, has been put out on the block by Cabot India Limited. And some of the key bidders include K. Raheja Corp, TRIL, and Tishman Spearn, among many other players who have been bidding. Now, the bids are ranging anywhere between 200 to 220 crores. And this land will be used to make another IT hub in the same area. Now, the experts tell us that in the next 3 to 5 years, commercial properties in this area would range anywhere between 50 to 55 rupees per square foot, and other properties would range anywhere between 40 to 45 rupees per square foot. So from the looks of it, it clearly seems like Thane Belapur is on its way to become the next BKC.
All right, it's time for our big debate tonight, and this is what we're doing. Obviously, we're at the end of 2015. It's been a very, very interesting year for those of us who are interested in the real estate market. It seemed like a really tough year for the industry. It seemed like a really tough year for anybody who's holding on to investments as well. So as we move into the new year of 2016, we're asking this question. Should you consider real estate as an investment, or are they better asset classes for you? What are the other options? So we're actually trying to compare this evening real estate and stocks and equity to find out which is likely to give you a better return in 2016 and what should be your big bet. Of course, in the studio with me, Mehrab Irani is a General Manager at Tata Investment Corporation. Mehrab, thanks for joining us. Dhirendra Kumar, CEO of Value Research, who both of them are defending equity. They join us. Dhirendra joins us from Delhi. We also have Sanjay Dutt, Managing Director at Cushman Wakefield for Realty. Amit Goenka, Chief Executive at Nisus Financial Services, also speaking for Realty from what I understand. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this debate. The question is very, very simple. As a retail investor, if I'm looking at this market right now, real estate seems a little scary. Does it make more sense to look at stocks, equity versus real estate? That's the question. Sanjay Dutt, I'll give you an opportunity to open up this debate. I know you're defending real estate at this point. What should we do?
I believe we need to look at all the asset classes. Clearly, if you look at the history, real estate has stood out very strong. It has given you multiple returns over decades. Anybody who wants to invest capital today, you can blindly go into a hard asset, invest, you can touch and feel.
You know, I'm going to come to Mehrab. Mehrab, we were looking at numbers before we started this show. And if we look at the numbers over a short period of time, over a long period of time, it does seem like equity is making more sense. Tell us what the outlook is for 2016. And do you believe that the average retail investor should be looking at equity instead of real estate?
Yeah, good evening. First of all, I would like to wish all your viewers a very happy and prosperous new year 2016. If you see, yes, over longer periods, equities as an asset class has always given good returns. For example, if you assume that India's real GDP will grow at say around 8% over the next 5 to 10 years, which is a reasonably long period, which has happened in the past. And if you add say around 5 to 7% of inflation, so you get a nominal GDP of closer to 15%. And all that, if you add some amount of beta or for corporate earnings, I think you can easily expect around 18 to 20% return from equities over longer term. And I think that is what has been given over the past 10 years. Also, if you see, equity is the only asset class which is where the income also and the gain also both are totally exempt from income tax. If you see the income from equities, that is dividend, that is exempt from tax. And also if you see long-term capital gains, which in the case of equities is just 1 year, that is also totally exempt from tax. So yes, you get a full tax break also for investing in equities, and also it gives very good long-term compounding returns. And one more thing, that equity is actually you make you a partner in a business, so that I don't think you get anywhere else. You get become a partner in a corporate entity.
Amit Goenka, I know you're speaking on behalf of Realty at this point. It does seem like a good argument to invest in equity. There's more liquidity. It's easier to buy and sell at this point. Why should anybody sort of consider real estate in the new year? What's your argument for real estate at this point?
So traditionally, Indians have been a saving investor group, and we've never really relied on our investments for short-term liquidity requirements. Therefore, if you look at typically the average investor portfolio, including the new Gen X, Gen Y portfolios who are now becoming mainstream investors, we realize that there's a good amount of liquidity being parked in fixed deposits into short-term liquid asset classes. But clearly, I mean, everybody's building wealth for the longer term, which is really for them, liquidity is not an issue, and which is where bulk of the long-term investment is going, is into property, because that's historically been shown as the largest.
So you're supporting property at this point. Do you think property is a good investment to make in the new year?
I don't deny it. I think it's one of the spectacular times in the last 10 years that I've seen to actually go back into property now. I mean, yes, there were concerns in the recent past, especially post the GFC of 2008, which lasted till 2012. But now I think, I mean, given the kind of deals I'm getting, I mean, given the kind of investment opportunities we're seeing, I think it's extraordinary.
I just want to look at the returns. If we look at pure returns at this point, over the last 5 years, equity has given us an annualized CAGR, according to Morgan Stanley. We're going to put that up on your screen, of 11%. Real estate over the same period has given us a return of about 8%. So, Amit, how do we argue with the numbers?
Well, again, depends on who's putting out the number and what kind of data points you're using. I would also argue that, I mean, if I use my data points, and very clearly there are arguments to show that if I bought a property in Mumbai, for example, in Ghatkopar, in not very far away, in let's say in 2009 or even 2010, I could buy something at about 8,000 rupees or 9,000 rupees a square foot for my own consumption. And of course, I could take leverage on top of that, which is not a very simple thing to do in equities. Now, if I were to actually sell it today, I would gain in excess of 20,000 rupees on that money, which means I would have made actually a 24% return on my investment in this 5-6 year period. Now, that's something which is very hard to beat, in this span of time. So if you look at look at property from an infill location, from the core property investment value proposition, it's really, really hard to beat.
All right, core property value proposition. May I come in here? The argument here is that, okay, if you do take a loan, you're actually only putting down 20% of the down payment. The rest you're borrowing. So effectively, your capital, that's going into this investment is only 20%. And then everything you make is sort of a bump up on that 20%. That's something that's not available to us in equity unless we borrow and invest, which I know a lot of people don't recommend. So how do you battle that in equity? Why would you still say that equity is a better deal?
See, number one, I think leverage can work both sides. If you create positive leverage, that is your return on investment is higher than your cost of debt, then it will create a positive leverage and your returns will multiply. But at the same time, if your cost of debt becomes somehow higher than your return on investment, then it becomes negative leverage and eats into your return very badly. And number two, if you see in the stock market also, yes, the leverage is available. As you said, we can borrow and buy. And also there is a futures and option market which gives very good leverage and which is very easy also and very liquid market also. So yes, there is leverage available in the equity markets as well.
Right, leverage available in the equity market as well. I'm going to try and see if we have Sanjay Dutt back on, on our Skype line. No, I'm told we don't have him yet. He got disconnected. But I want to simply focus on this. Both of the gentlemen who are with me in the studio, tell me this. If I have 50 lakh rupees as an investment option, let's say that that's what I'm going to invest, which means I need to only put down 20% of it for real estate. If I was going into 2016 right now with this 20% in hand, Amit Goenka, given everything we're seeing in the real estate market, the delays, the overhang, the slowing sales, the reputations that are taking a beating, it is a treacherous market to enter, to choose, to sort of take that bet. What comfort do you get from the fact that, from this market at all, that we're actually making a good decision?
I don't deny the fact that it's very confusing, but then no investment decision is easy, whether it's equities or whether it's property markets. We're seeing a number of issues also coming out in the equity markets, which are then starting to list below their IPO prices and things like that. So it's always a very difficult decision to make as to what part of an investment strategy you should really play your capital with. Having said that, I think there are certain no-brainer answers also to certain questions like that. So, for example, a defensive investor today has a plethora of fund managers like ourselves who invest into property, who've got the basic, the basic nuances of property investment, hopefully, right? And we invest into debt, which is the reason why today, if you look at it from a net FI perspective, and I think the capital inflows from an FI is a very, very strong benchmark of where the global capital is actually heading to, because we're assuming that they're smarter than potentially all of us put together. If you look at the total net FI inflows into real estate in India in the last year alone, it was close to about $7 billion. A much smaller amount actually went as net FI inflows into the equity markets all of 2015, which basically means that more long-term, more sticky money.
But okay, but Amit, a lot of the money that went into the real estate market was debt investment, not equity investment.
I agree, which is what I'm saying.
So debt investment is not available to me as a retail investor.
No, it is. It is absolutely available. I mean, there are enough PMS schemes which start with a 25 lakh corpus. There are schemes where you can actually buy debt instruments at even as low as 10 or 15 lakh of rupees, which give you returns of in excess of 16, 17% per annum, for a shorter period of time. So there are very high yield instruments available. Many of them are rated and listed as well, giving some very phenomenal returns, which is the reason why debt investments is showing such a strong stream of money coming its way. So I don't think that retail investors are actually now precluded from that. If you have larger amount of money, you can actually participate in an AIF fund. So there are enough collective investment opportunities available, even in the real estate side, if you don't want to do a house picking exercise.
So not actually buying physical real estate, but there are other options. There are schemes that you can invest in, which lend to builders to build homes, and the returns on those schemes have to, have, from what we've seen, been fairly high, closer to 20% in some cases, if you can recover that money from the builder, of course. What we're going to do is really open up our phone lines. Our phone lines are at the bottom of your screen. You can pick up the phone and get in touch with us if you have a question about where you should be investing your money when it comes to 2016. The question that we're asking is, should you be investing in equity or should you be investing in real estate? My guest is still in the studio with me. Vairab, tell me this, what is your expectation from equity in 2016? What kind of returns do you expect? We know 2015 has been a negative year. At the beginning of the year, everybody talked about how we're at the beginning of a 5-year bull run and it's going to be fantastic and everything in India is so optimistic. A lot of that didn't work out. We're at negative returns for 2015. What is your reading and expectation of 2016?
Yeah, if we see in 2016, equity markets gave a negative return of almost 5%. And there were certain reasons for that. One, the earnings were not so good. Analysts initially expected around 15 to 17% growth in earnings, which actually did not materialize. And the reason for that was a lot of the material companies actually reported very negative earnings growth. And that was because the commodity prices globally crashed, whether you see oil or you see copper or aluminium or zinc. And most of those commodities fell between 25 to 50% globally. Also, if you see the rural demand did not pick up, because of that the growth was low. Also, if you see, there was a lot of pressure on the manufacturing sector. The WPI inflation is a negative 2%, while the CPI is positive 5%. So it's pressure on manufacturing sector. And because of all these reasons, the earnings growth was not good. However, if you see the valuation, today we are at 17 times forward price to earning ratio and at a 2.7 times price to book value ratio. So the valuations are decent. And once the earnings growth pick up, I think the equity market should again start performing and give us good returns.
In all fairness, Vairab, that's an argument that I've heard from equity analysts now for nearly 8 months. That once the earnings start to pick up, that we'll see things change. Once interest rates come down, we'll see things change. Frankly, the earnings have not picked up. What guarantee is there that it will happen in 2016?
Yeah, there is no guarantee. If you see, equities are little lumpy investments. They don't give linear return what fixed deposits give. But there are fair expectations that the earnings would pick up now, because as you see, the RBI has already started reducing rates and they expect at least 100 basis point further reduction in 2016 also. So once interest rates come down and once there is certain amount of increase in the government spending, I think the infrastructure sector would also pick up, and some resolution on the banking side also once the NPA cycle also improves. So I think overall the earnings should pick up. Also, if you see, you are not buying something costly, you are buying something which is within the last 15-year valuation range. And a lot of mid caps have actually given very good return. There has been 30 to 50% return in individual mid caps and a lot of sectors. So yes, there are good opportunities in the equity market for 2016.
Amit, what I like about that argument is interest rates, infrastructure turnaround and government spending are exactly the kind of things that will lead to a turnaround in the real estate sector as well, right? So when the interest rates do come down, that's what we're waiting for on this end of the bargain as well, right?
In fact, I was thinking actually exactly in the same lines that these are the drivers for real estate as well. And I think, counterintuitively, the things that actually crashed, like the global commodity prices, actually helped in real estate in a large way, actually bringing down the input costs in a very significant manner.
I'd like to see developers sort of pass that on, though, those input costs that have been brought down. We haven't seen them really do that.
I think there's significant seriousness, except that you can't actually have across the board cuts, because then what it actually does is it takes away the confidence of investors who are coming in, that if you start actually slashing rates across the board, and it did happen one time in 2008 when people were actually forced to cut rates across the board, but it's never really resulted into either an uptick in sale velocity or actually more added interest by buyers. But actually, if you really go to a sales office with your checkbook, I can guarantee you there's not a single project, or there are hardly any projects which will turn you away for the lack of discounts.
Tell me this. I know that it is unfair, and this is my personal opinion on this channel. We are not going to see prices go up across the board as far as real estate is concerned. We're also not going to see prices crash across the board because the offering is very, very different. So there will be some pockets, some markets, some builders will be forced to bring their prices down even further. But the reputed builders right now, the ones who have a reputation for delivering on time, for delivering quality, are actually seeing sales numbers improve, especially over the last festive season. So Amit, tell us this. If I'm actually looking at, say, a 25 lakh rupee, like you said, if that's my ticket size, if I have that kind of money, where are the pockets that you're seeing, opportunities within the real estate sector?
It's a fantastic question, because I think that's the right ticket size I would start off with without actually putting in a lot of capital behind any asset class to test waters. So as I said, of course, I'm biased towards, fund managers managing money and obviously giving debt-like returns, which are, in the high teens. But having said that, there are a number of opportunities coming up, for example, in markets like Bangalore or even Pune or Mumbai. Of course, because Bangalore and Pune are kind of quite similar in dynamics, there are a number of very, very good developments because of the inventory overhang that actually got built up over the last 2 years, where people are now willing to cut inventory, take a haircut and actually give you some very quick discounts. Okay. So there are markets within Pune and Bangalore that we can discuss.
I'm going to interrupt you there, because finally, after that long wait, we have Sanjay Dutt on the show with us. Sanjay, thank you for joining us. It's good to have you in. We're just talking about, as a retail investor, if I'm going into 2016, on one hand, we have a very, very subdued real estate market, which hasn't really won the confidence of its buyer back again. On the other hand, we have an equity market that sort of ended 5% down for the year, for 2015. Where are you setting your sights? What advice are you giving investors for 2016? What kind of returns are you expecting from realty?
Well, I do expect at least 5 to 15% minimum returns from the real estate sector. And I say that with confidence because the markets have really bottomed out, and there are early signs that the market is going to pick up in next 12 to 24 months. So if you're going to see an upside next 12 to 24 months, this is the time to buy and strike a good deal. And you wouldn't be surprised to see at least 5 to 15% depending on which micro markets you are. My advice has always been to pick up the best in the best location, closer to the city, and the certainty of your return will actually go up.
Dhirendra Kumar joins us now on a Skype line. Dhirendra, thanks for joining us. You just heard what Sanjay was just telling us. 5 to 15% from realty going forward. Now's a good time to buy. What's your argument?
No, my argument is even more basic. I would say that if you need a home, buy a home within your budget. It could well be the good time, but I think 2016 is going to be quite a remarkable year, because if at some point we start getting, we have the regulation in place, I think, your interest will be better protected. This is a very opaque, market. and it's very difficult to figure out what the right price is. You have to really strike a hard bargain, and looks like it's a good time because we haven't the news that we see is that things are not all that rosy. So, I don't think it is about time to be an investor in real estate. I think those days are gone. But you need a home, and then only you think in terms of buying a home, and you be a little flexible. I think, 2016 will provide you an opportunity. Maybe, buy a book on how to negotiate a great deal.
Dhirendra, Amit Goenka is in the studio with me, and he actually said maybe it's also time to consider debt investments into realty because there are PMS funds that allow you, let's be fair, for Amit Goenka, 25 lakh rupees is not a lot of money. He said if you have 25 lakh rupees, you can put it aside, you do a debt investment instead of doing an equity investment. Is that something that you also agree with?
No, I think it is going to be very messy because, the solvency or, the worth of the collateral and your ability to realize it is very difficult. So, unless until you are actually pooling with somebody, and there could be a cost of pooling. There could be a cost of the cost of intermediation. If you pool your 25 lakh rupees to realize a return, my understanding is that there are fixed income funds in real estate which are able to realize a return of in some desperate deals, they are able to realize a return of 16-18%. But that is not the kind of return which an investor will be able to realize. So I think investors are will do themselves a favor by keeping away from any such thing. It is better to be if you are a fixed income investor, then you have to make sure that your capital and interest repayment is protected, which in this case in a private deal of a negotiated kind is unlikely to be.
Sure. Sanjay, Dhirendra's argument is that if you're buying a home, it's a good time because it's a good time to buy a home to live in if you have the budget. Not a great time to invest in real estate. I know that's something you disagree with.
I entirely disagree with. I think this is a great time to buy commercial assets as well. For example, you can pick up at a very attractive values today with a assured return, at least 9 to 10%, which is given for an office leased investment. Now, if you have a smaller ticket size and you cannot afford it, please go and buy a small shop or a small commercial office unit. It will eventually get leased in a good location and a good building. So I don't agree that this is not the right time. I think this is the right time. And if you want to, keep it to residential market, then make sure that you follow the investor checklist. You will have certainty of returns. I earlier comment on debt. I think right now, a lot of corporates, a lot of developers are borrowing money to retire the old debt. So there I would like to put a word of caution. Interest rates are going down. I think you will get a better upside in capital value over medium term. So I'm not saying it'll happen next 6 months or 12 months. If you stay invested in real estate for short term, which is minimum 3 years, I can guarantee you returns.
Dhirendra?
No, all these guarantee and somebody guaranteeing return doesn't hold water. The guarantee has to be derived from the system or based on logic. It has to be there has to be a rationale for that. Somebody just sitting and standing up and saying that I am guaranteeing it has no value.
The reason
one has to really see that there is going to be
I have the answer, Faye. I have the answer.
All right, Sanjay, if you have the answer, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the answer and the reason I say that guaranteed return, because you pick up certain projects today at very aligned values or corrected values. And if that corrected values you go today with cash and take a discount of 15%, that is guaranteed return. I'm not saying that you speculate in real estate and you not hope that something will happen to the economy and grow. I'm saying booking profit today at discount below market value.
Sanjay, how
so
do you
that
know
is what
that
I mean with guaranteed returns, because you don't get such deals later.
Sanjay, how do you know the price will not come down further? I mean, 2 weeks down the line, 3 months down the line, he might be selling the same property for even for 10% even further down.
Faye, it's a very simple calculation. It's a very simple calculation, Faye. We all know the FSI cost. Let's say you pick up Gurgaon, Golf Road Extension. The new FSI cost on Extension Road, we have recently sold a land for a very large developer, and we've done it at 4,000 rupees FSI. You add about 3,000 rupees grade A quality construction residential, you're actually close to about 7,000 to 8,000 rupees minimum. Now, if you've been buying a product in that market for 12,000, 11,000 rupees per square feet, but you're getting today at 8,000, are you suggesting that it'll go down further and somebody will cut below the actual cost? Chances are very rare.
Okay.
You know, some developer will step in who is able to sell, whether it's Tata and Godrej and all, will get a premium and will be able to sell the inventory and much higher values at premiums. So I think there is a merit. I'm not saying a blanket approval, by the way, that you point in any direction, put money in real estate and you will get guaranteed return. No, I'm saying you take informed decision, take a quality checklist, and then make an investment. The chances of you getting assured returns are much higher, including commercial, like I said earlier.
All right, so I'm a little worried about the word assured or guaranteed, but I have Raikal, I believe, on the phone line from Noida, who's picked up the phone and called us. Tell us what your question is.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
My question was, as an economy, you know, what happened is that you could see a different rate prevailing prices in Mumbai, prices in Noida, and prices, in Hyderabad.
Sure.
All three in the same economy you are running it. But a developer, what happens is he's charging, according to what actually the rate would be, but it's not supporting the economy, right?
Okay.
So what happens is the actual investment comes down. The question to the developer is, how do you intend to balance the economy and also the prices?
All right, that's an interesting question for Amit Goenka and for Sanjay Dutt, whoever wants to take this. Is obviously, on one hand, all of the arguments we make for why the real estate industry will turn around and why we'll actually see prices sort of improve are macroeconomic reasons, but the actual prices on the ground are demand and supply, and right now that supply is sort of overrunning demand at this point. So Amit, you were the one who gave us that entire list of reasons why you believe the market is turning around, but what the viewer just said, what Raikal said on the phone line, is fair. It just depends on that particular neighborhood, that particular builder. We might wind up, buying something and getting stuck with it.
No, I don't deny it. And I think that, some of these fundamentals of investment, whether you're looking at equities, whether you're looking at debt, or whether you're looking at real estate, remain put, that you obviously have to consider either the sector or the micro market, or you need to consider certain basic dynamics of investment. So clearly city picking or micro market picking is one of them, like it would be sectoral picking or, picking a mutual fund type. Having said that, clearly there are certain indicators which tell you which make sense. And I think it's not that complicated in real estate because it's more grounded, it's more easy to collect data, it's easy to go in and actually make a pick. In stocks, if you're not an informed investor, it's
I'll stop you there. I run a real estate channel. Data is not easy to come by in this industry.
Well, I'm just saying that you can
it's
go out
not
and
easier
actually,
than the stock market.
Well, given the amount of data available through various portals today, you can actually compare across various projects. You can actually figure out from specifications to pricing to completion dates to so many other things. It's not as hard as it used to be, and it's easy to decipher that data compared to maybe understanding PE multiples, forwards, growth, macroeconomic indicators, overlaying it on how the stock prices work.
Okay.
So it's a much simpler investment asset class, I think.
That's a fair argument in the sense, Dhirendra, understanding the stock market is not easy either. This is something you and I have dealt with now for over 7 years. Getting people to understand how to choose, say, a mutual fund, which is the simplest way to approach the stock market, is still not easy. So the argument that it might be a simpler way to approach an investment than, say, buying real estate, where would you place equity and real estate in that argument?
No, I think, buying real estate, if you are planning to live in that house, which will make your life easier, is pretty straightforward. Look for convenience, look for affordability, look for your own budget. That is it. I think, compared to that, any other investment which is virtual will always be difficult. Here is something which you tend to consume, you intend to enjoy. So I think that particular part, buying a home is pretty straightforward. Looking at it as an investment is a different issue altogether. It's a very complex thing, and it is a very logical thing today. Because if you are going to buy a residential thing, it's a completely illogical thing simply because the rental, because with any investment, you look at total return.
Right.
In case of equity, you look at appreciation plus dividend. In case of real estate, you look at appreciation plus the rental yield. Rental yield is actually, gives you the patience to hold on. And in this case, it's horribly low for you to actually, rely on to get you to derive a supply of patience. So commercial real estate could be a different story altogether. But the kind of manageability required, the kind of ticket size, I think that goes beyond the ambit of most individuals. Leave aside buying a shop which you can actually be lucky to rent it out to an ATM or a small retail outlet.
All right, I want to bring Mehrab in here. The other thing that we have to consider the other thing we have to consider when we talk about investing in real estate vis-a-vis investing in the stock market is the tax treatment. A year after I buy any sort of equity, it's completely tax-free. I have to pay long-term or short-term capital gains tax on real estate. I have to pay property tax. I have to pay income tax on any sort of rental income I make. Plus, there's the maintenance. Plus, there's stamp duty and registration. Whereas in that argument, does equity win over real estate?
Yeah, perfectly. Today, if you buy equities, the dividend is tax-free. Long-term capital gains, which is just 1 year, is tax-free. While in real estate, you have to pay property tax, you have to pay maintenance. Even the long-term capital gain, there are some exemptions available, but otherwise it is taxable. And even the rent, after certain deduction, it is actually taxable. So I think that is also on the argument that equities is difficult and information not available. I think there is enough information available on stock markets and individual companies. There are a lot of websites which are giving free balance sheets and a lot of information about a lot of things, and mutual funds are also there. So it's not very difficult. Also, I heard about talking of investing in debt in the real estate. So I would not be in favor of that. Because if I want to invest in real estate, I will buy an equity of real estate because I want to be partner in the growth in the real estate sector. And why should I lend to a builder at maybe a slightly higher rate? But why should I take that risk and lend? Otherwise, I can just buy debentures or bonds of any company. Why should I buy debentures of a real estate company with such high risk? While I'm not getting participation in the upside in the real estate sector. So that also I'll be little worried.
I'm going to bring in Sanjay Dutt here very quickly. Sanjay, if we were to consider all of the arguments that were made against real estate right now, one is liquidity, the tax treatment, the the difficulty of accessing information, the risk that comes with it. The only thing that can argue against all of these is good, solid returns. What markets do you think will be able to offer us double-digit returns over the next few years in real estate to sort of beat all of the things I have to make up for, which is the stamp duty, the registration, the taxation, all of the other disadvantages?
So, first of all, I totally agree because real estate is not for everyone. But at the same time, we know, as people in the past have made investment, they've always got some kind of return. And one would argue last 3 years, one hasn't made return, and therefore the big debate on real estate, whether it's a good investment or not. But I would say the rationale for investment when it comes to real estate, if you are focused in key cities where there is economic activity, which means there is some kind of commercial activity, job creation, job employment, and therefore one would imagine more demand in the times to come, more migration, and that basically boils down to top 7 or 8 cities. If you just stick to that, and within these cities you stick to certain corridors where there is some cost benefit, because today it may be low and given the economic activity. I recently did an exercise for CREDAI where we presented the Thane-Belapur road in Mumbai, for example. Thanks to Maharashtra IT policy, the FSI has become very cheap for IT companies to come. And we've seen close to about 200 acres being sold in today's economic environment, which means more job creation will happen. And therefore, inventory, which is right now seems high in Thane district, will eventually get dried up because there is not enough compared to the economic activity that is taking place on that road. So I think if you stick to those principal investment, you are safe. But you have to take a medium-term view. You can't take a short-term view.
All right. So you have to take a medium-term view, look for job creation, look for the top cities, the corridors where we're seeing infrastructure and we're seeing job creation. Ravi from Bangalore is on the phone line with us. Unfortunately, we made him hold a fair amount of time. Ravi, thanks for holding on. Tell us what your question is. How can we help you?
Yeah, hi. I would like to understand how the
Yes, Ravi?
Yeah, I can continue.
Yes, please continue.
Yeah, I would like to understand how the market would see the equities primarily, because I am interested in investing into the equity market. But
Okay.
however, as a first-time buyer, I had recently picked up about 2 years back an apartment.
Okay.
And I had seen only the downside. I had not seen any upside. The same happened even with my equity investment in the last 1.5 years. So now I am in a dilemma whether to go towards the equity or whether to go towards the realty. By looking at your show, Equity versus Reality, I had only seen the downside in the last 2 years, hoping that something will appreciate.
So, Ravi, tell me this. What is your time horizon on both investments? When do you need this money back? All right, we seem to have lost Ravi on the phone. Let me try and get him back. But this is a very interesting question. Dhirendra, it's a fair point. The last 1 year has been negative returns on equity as well.
But let me just put things in perspective.
Sure.
He can be saving 5,000 rupees in an equity fund, and his time frame should be 5 years, and he should be well off. And even in the last 1.5 years, it has not been disappointing. It will be more than what the fixed income generates. If anybody has done a SIP for last 18 months, one will be well off compared to putting money. So he's beating inflation, he's beating fixed income. And it is coming without any baggage. If he wants his money in another 24 hours, he will get it. No tax to be paid for most part of his for most of his gains. So I would say that these are strictly not comparable. And if he has bought the house for living in it and he's saving on the rent, I don't think he should have regretted it. And look at the ticket size of investment. If you are making an investment in property, then he has something to worry. Yes, there is one more thing which actually comes to, which comes in very handy, that your real estate investment is a leveraged buy, is a leveraged bet, when it comes to, borrowing money to invest there. Mm-hmm. And if you actually get impatient in next 3, 4 years, 5 years, and things turn out to be very disadvantageous, which I don't think will turn out to be that disadvantageous over the next 15 years, or 15 years, or 10 years mortgage if you take. But if you were looking at making a quick buck in 1, 2 years, 3 year time frame by borrowing money and putting, borrowing 80% of the capital cost, then you could be in for a disappointment.
Right.
And just in case you lose your job,
two things I'd like to point out to any sort of viewer like Ravi who's listening in right now. Point number one, all investments and all markets tend to be cyclical. There'll be ups and downs in every market. Unfortunately, Ravi, you seem to have caught, portions of both markets where you're seeing a down. All of our panelists, on whichever side of the argument they are, agree that you need to have at least 5 years of a time horizon for both investments, equity and real estate. There's no point coming in for 1 year and expecting things to turn around. So ideally, you should be able to hold on. Sanjay, how long are you expecting this cycle to continue for? Now, I know that there's a prediction that the market will turn around. We've not seen the real estate regulator come in. We've not seen FDI make as much of a dent as we had expected it to do. So how long do you expect this cycle to take before it bottoms out, turns around, and we start to see a change for a viewer like Ravi?
I believe, it's going to take still about a year or so. Nothing's going to happen overnight. But we see early signs of recovery. A lot of factors indicate that the markets are moving in the right direction, although not fast enough. But we see job creation, we see growth strategies that the corporates are discussing in the boardroom. We see more corporates committing and buying, and buying growth. We recently made a very large investment for a corporate who bought an office space in Bandra Kurla complex. It was a 1,400 crore transaction, and it was well recorded. So we see a lot of conviction, commitment from the corporate world, which may not result and translate into positivity the way we want to see it. But I think over the next 2 years, you will see it, and therefore the cycles will turn around. I think equity will also give return. There's no doubt the liquidity advantage, the fact that you can actually invest and exit at any point of time, you have tax benefits on all those. It remains a very attractive segment. The question is not whether to go for equity or real estate. I think the question is how to balance equity and real estate. If you got too much exposure on real estate, maybe it's time to now diversify and go for equity. If you've not done any hard asset investment, which is an asset of your lifetime, this is the best time to buy. And I think you will get substantial increase in capital appreciation of the properties, whether you buy commercial or residential. And I think if you look at next 2 years, you will book profit.
Amit Goenka, in the argument of equity versus real estate, Sanjay just told us that you should find a balance between the two. I know Dhirendra and Mehrab say that you should go all equity unless you're buying the house that you're going to live in. Where do you stand finally at the end of this debate?
I think let's look at it historically, Faye, and let's be honest to ourselves. I mean, how many people do you know in and around you who made money from equities? And how many people do you know in and around you that you made sheer amount of wealth from their properties that their grandfather bought or their father bought?
No, but see, in all fair argument, if my grandfather bought stocks and handed it down to me, I would have made a fair amount of money as well. The stories that we hear about real estate saying, you know, this is what my granddad bought it at and this is what I'm making today, we don't talk about equity in the same, in the same length of time. If we did, the Sensex has given us 100x, 100 times of what we would have invested when it started off. So to be fair, that's
well, property
not
has
a fair
as well.
argument.
My simple argument is that because it's sticky, because it's illiquid, and because it allows you to actually keep it for a longer period of time, there's a very serious compounding effect that you get on your money. You know, which is why it is a long-term investment, no deny. The fact that it is illiquid is actually very, very beneficial, which is why a number of opportunities like ULIPs, etc. came in, because you wanted people to stay invested and not get tempted by market volatility.
This is what I want, this is what I want all of our panelists to do. For the viewers who are watching right now, who are preparing to enter a new year and preparing to decide how they want to invest their money, especially, Jan, Feb, March tends to be a very active investment quarter. I want each of you to give our viewers advice. If you believe equity is the way to go, then tell us how to do that. If you believe real estate is the way to go, then tell us how to do that. What checklist, what project, what neighborhood, any sort of advice you can give us right now. I'm going to start with Sanjay. Sanjay, quickly before we wrap up the show, tell us your advice for 2016.
In each of the markets across the country, you have invested in the past in the main city. But if you look at very closely, instead of going to tier 2 and tier 3, you can actually look at the sub-city which is coming up in each city. So if you look at Gurgaon, you look at New Gurgaon. If you look at Bangalore, look at the Hebbal and Manyata, or beyond, Yelahanka, for example. Or even Whitefield, for that matter.
Sure.
If you look at Mumbai, you look at Thane, for example. Each of these cities has growth opportunities for investment.
All right. Mehrab?
Yeah, I would also first agree with asset allocation. I think that is the basic for any kind of investment for getting good long-term returns. On the argument that equities don't give return on long term, I would not agree with that. If you see, Sensex had started at around 100 in the year 1979, while today we are at almost 26,000, even it touched 30,000 in the year. So it has gone up almost 300 times. So yes, if you hold equities also for that much long period as you can hold real estate, it surely gives return and much better returns.
What's your advice though? What's your advice for an investor?
So I think that we should have a balanced portfolio in equities and debt. And also, I think it would be a good time for somebody who doesn't have a house to buy a house in the year 2016, because rather than just paying rent, I think it is better to create an asset through EMI.
Okay, Amit Goenka, closing statements. What's your advice?
Well, I would say that there is an opportune time to buy something which has got a subvention scheme. So for the risk of actually buying an under construction property and having to pay EMIs, there are a number of opportunities.
80-20 sort of
80-20
scheme,
put your 20% down. You know, your largest appreciation comes obviously when it's completed, ready for possession. That's really when your EMI starts.
You should also remember when you do that you're taking on a certain risk of not being delivered at all. So if that's the home you're going to live in, that you should be
absolutely. So buy something which is closer to completion, maybe 1 year away, 1.5 years away. Go with a good development in the right micro market.
Dhirendra Kumar, what's your advice for investors in 2016?
For 2016 or, even 5 years from now or 5 years ago, I had the same advice that, buy a home to live in, be within your budget, invest your long-term money into equity, and your first stop for equity should be the tax-saving fund where you actually take the tax break. Any money which you are likely to need in the, you have a predictable plan for any goal, keep that money in fixed income. That is not the money to be kept in equity or any other place. And make sure that, you are buying the property. I think the, individual due diligence of the builder from whom you are buying the property is more crucial, is more important. And you have very few. In fact, this is where the hard work is needed. To buy a home is not that you just need to work, you just need to, you need the money. You need to really work hard on somebody's track record of delivering.
All right, I want to very quickly, I'm told we have another viewer on the phone line. Uday Modi is on the line from Mumbai. Uday, tell us, how can we help you? We're running out of time, but we want to squeeze you in. Tell us what your question
I
is.
wanted to know, is it not wise to invest the money where the government infrastructures have been declared or likely to come or already have started coming, like New Bombay International Airport? So suppose it may be anywhere in India. If we invest the money where government infrastructures are likely to come, in land, commercial complex, or the residential premises.
You know,
because I find that it is also equally important. The builder has to be reputable. I had invested in Panvel. My flat was sold by the same builder to 3 people. So it is very important. The builder has to be reputable. The infrastructures, parking, and other facilities are must. Then it is wise to invest the money. Otherwise, you are cheated.
Right.
And it is wise to invest the money.
Okay. All right. So, Uday, that's a fair point. Sanjay, what happens normally is when the government announces infrastructure, it causes a run-up in prices. And then we wait 10 years for that infrastructure to come up. In this case, Panvel Airport, I think the wait will be closer to 15 or 20 years. Does it make sense to make a move and make a decision based on a government announcement?
Only when you see this supported by business activity in that location. If you see that early signs, please go ahead. Otherwise, it becomes a speculation.
All right. So government infrastructure announcements actually only make sense when you see brick and mortar being laid down in that particular space, because there's a lot of delay that happens in land acquisition, in permissions, and finally, when we actually see the infrastructure action, it takes a fairly long period of time. You don't want to be holding an investment for that period of time. Uday, thank you for calling us. We've run out of time. Here's the takeaway. If you don't have a home, 2016 is the year to go out and buy one. Buy one that's in your budget. That's unanimous across the board. Everybody agrees that you should own a home. If you're making an investment, have a 5-year horizon, cherry pick both stocks and real estate. You have to be super smart when making those decisions, and you have to seek help. That's what we're here for on Magic Bricks. Now we're out of time, but stay with us for news and updates. Don't go anywhere.